Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Goldberg for the Sales Pro Network. It's Friday, February 21st. Man, we're almost 2 months into the new year. This is amazing. Time is fast flying by. For those of you who haven't joined us before, I'm a sales coach and trainer, and I work with both individuals and organizations internationally to do one thing and one thing only, help them increase their sales. And I founded the Sales Pro Network to elevate the profession and to give salespeople a place to hang out and learn. And if you've been with us before, you do know that every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, I either do a live training or a live interview with somebody who can add value to the profession of sales. And once again, my friends, I have not let you down. I'm very excited to talk to today's guest for several reasons. She's a business simplification and confidence coach, as well as an AI guru. She's one of my favorite people in the world. I follow every word she says because she's a genius at what she does. Please welcome my friend, and I'm honored to call her that, Suzanne Taylor-King. Good morning, Suzanne.
Hello, very excited to be here.
And for those of us who know her, it's not Suzanne Taylor-King, it's STK. She goes by STK. Yeah. So yeah. STK, before we get started with the 8 zillion questions I have for you today, would you like to give everybody who doesn't know you, the 3 people maybe, the 2-minute version of your background?
Yes, I've been an entrepreneur for 38 years. I don't know how.
Since you were 2?
38 years old. But anyway, 38 years as an entrepreneur, love startup phase of business, love ideas, love guiding people to really find their zone of genius like I have. And it's been 15 years as a coach after a 20-year career as a dental hygienist. So I love myself some good teeth. And I would say that my simplification and my visionary come together in creating ideas and really simplifying technology and solutions for people. And I have so much fun doing what I do.
And I can attest to that. Every conversation with you is fun. I've never walked away from any conversation with you going, well, that was a waste of time, or, oh, that was hard. Even the hard stuff, you make it fun and easy. And I'm not saying that it doesn't take work, but it's joyous rather than a chore. In your coaching practice, you work with people who are fed up with the status quo. They're tired of it. They don't want to be ordinary, and often they're not living up to their potential. Why do you think so many people are satisfied with the way their life is, even though it's not fantastic, and they accept the status quo? And how do we actually break free from that?
Well, I think number one, people feel as though change is hard, and that's a combination of neuroscience and habits and all of that. I love change. I love learning. So for me, changing, pivoting, reinventing is fun. And when that's presented to one of my clients or potential clients who is feeling stuck because change is hard, or they don't see how to do it, they know they have to change, but they don't know what. Having somebody who sees it as fun and easy is really inspiring. And I think that's number one. Change doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah. And you said a bunch of stuff that was terrific. First of all, change is the nature of life.
Yes.
And I don't remember the exact number, but I believe it's something like every 6 months, every cell in our body is different. It's renewed. We're constantly, they're dying and they're being renewed. So every 6 months, you're really a new person. So the other thing I believe is certainly in sales, you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is not necessarily a bad thing unless you let it stop you from doing the things you need to do.
Yeah. I look at it as every day I want to feel a little uncomfortable doing at least one thing. For me, it's typically picking up my phone and doing a live video, though I do it every week for my podcast. And it's effortless when I do it. It's the getting to do it that feels, oh, I got to do that. I don't want to do it, but it's fun once I do it. It's fun once I'm here talking to you. But setting that up can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, it's often the anticipation, I think,
Yeah.
which may or may not become a reality, of how bad it might be or how difficult it might be. But it's often that anticipation that stops us. And I've
Mhm.
mentioned this once or twice on this program. I went skydiving with my son in October, and he was sitting in front of me on the plane, and I could see he was literally shaking,
Mhm.
terrified. Look, let's face it, jumping out of an airplane is not for the faint of heart, and
Yeah.
it is scary. But he put himself into it. He took the class. He was ready for it, but I could see he was terrified. By the way, I wasn't sitting there going, "Okay, I'm just going to leap out happy, happy." I wasn't terrified, but
Uh-huh.
it's a nerve-wracking thing. But
Mhm.
when we both landed, you've never seen anybody more excited and turned on. I was like, "Let's go do it again! Come on!" And he's like, "Well, not today," but I loved it. So it's that it's okay to be uncomfortable. Just don't let it stop you. And once you do those uncomfortable things, it gives you great power, doesn't it?
It does, and I wanna encourage anybody who's struggling with putting themselves out there, being more visible. I have a couple, people in my circle, in my community who struggle with technology, and they see me being this, like, uber tech savvy person, and that was all learned, and I will tell you, I worked in dentistry before there was computers. So, old school, paper charts, paper schedule. And when computers came to dentistry, I was the first one who was like, no way, don't want it, no thank you. I was the typical person who said, I don't want to embrace technology. I like my job the way it is. And I very quickly discovered that I was good at it, and I was, like, giving suggestions to the programmer of our software about where to put stuff on the screen to make it easier, and it can be something you learn if you're willing to, and if you're not willing to, you're gonna get left behind.
Yep. I definitely want to talk more about technology and specifically AI in a few minutes. But there's something else you've been talking about, at least for the last 6 months, maybe a year, that every time I see you talking about, I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. So you've been talking a lot about charisma in
Mhm.
business.
Yeah.
And how do you define charisma? Why is it useful in business? And is it something that we're born with, or can we actually develop it? And also, I know there's 4 questions here. What is the charisma code? So take it away with charisma.
Okay, so to me, charisma is this balance of being able to engage with other people, being able to have conversations with anyone, your personality, your authenticity, mixed in with a little vulnerability. Like, how good would I be answering these questions if I wasn't willing to be a little vulnerable and say that I stunk at technology in the beginning and I resisted it, but I learned it. And so that makes me more appealing to the person who's struggling with technology. Oh, she struggled too? Oh, cool. So it's a rapport building thing when I'm vulnerable. And you can't fake this. I can't just pretend I'm vulnerable about something because then the energy's off. So charisma is something that comes naturally when you embrace your true self, your zone of genius, your superpowers, you know yourself really well. Also, I think that's key. You have to know yourself really well. And then I think there's two parts of it as far as business goes. This is how I meet people. This is how doors have been opened for me, not only with speaking opportunities, client opportunities. So much has happened because I've been willing to connect as a person to other people.
Hmm. So when I think of charisma, it to me, and maybe my definition is wrong, but it's that force that some people just seem to have. It's like sometimes you walk into a room and you can see that there's one
Mhm.
person who's the center of everybody's attention. It's because
Yeah.
they've got this magnetic force. Are
Mhm.
we talking about two different things, or
No, I totally agree, and I think that magnetic force is a little blend of confidence and body language, how you're standing, how you're embracing the room, especially in person. It's such a personal, like, energy thing. Claiming the space that you're in, the way your shoulders stand. How are you positioned in the room? Are you standing off in the corner, not making eye contact with anybody? Or are you in the mix of it, talking to people, making eye contact? And, used to be a little bit of touch involved. I don't think you can do that anymore, but I still do it with people that I know. Like, you and I have never met in person. When we do meet in person, there's going to be a hug. There's going to be a hand on your arm, and like a heartfelt thank you for how you've mentored me with my sales, and eye contact, and a warmth and a genuine relationship off the screen. And I think being willing to do that with people, that's charisma to me. That mix, that secret sauce. And yes, you can teach it to people.
And it's not necessarily an egocentric thing. In fact, it's
No,
not egocentric. It's not,
no,
hey, I'm the center of attention and I
no.
love it, even though that may be, you may love it, but it's not that I'm here to serve me. The people who are actually charismatic to me are generally and genuinely givers.
Yeah.
They may be the one in the center of the crowd, but it's because everybody wants to talk to them because they do give generously and they
Yes.
are there to help. It's not about me, 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 me. Much like in sales, if when you're selling, and we've had this discussion more than once, it's not about me at all. It's about the prospect. It's about how can I serve you. So what is the charisma code?
Well, it's a little equation that I put together, working on this to be able to teach it to other people. So it's charisma equals confidence plus vulnerability plus authenticity to the power of resilience.
What was the last one? The power of resilience?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. I believe resilience, that grit of starting over, reinventing, being willing to screw up and start over is totally required, not only as an entrepreneur, business owner, but if you're going to have relationships with other people that can grow your business, you're going to screw up a couple. You're going to do it wrong, or somebody's not going to like you, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah, and I love the word you just used because my favorite coach in the world, besides you, my personal coach, talked about grit all the time.
Mm.
It's the ability to keep pushing through when things get hard.
Yeah.
She's an athlete for years and years, and still has that athlete's mindset. And
Mhm.
she often talked about. And by the way, I'm not an athlete at all, so I would listen with. I can't relate to that, but she would always relate it to every human.
Yeah.
She was a lacrosse player, I think lacrosse, yeah.
Mm.
And she talked about in lacrosse, first you're on the weakest team, and then you get to be the best person on the weakest team, and then they move you up to the next bench. But now you're the weakest person on that, and it takes grit to keep moving up and being the worst and working at it and taking coaching and listening even when things are hard. It's that grit that gets you through. It's I think it's kind of synonymous to the word I use all the time, which is commitment.
I think so. And I think also negative feedback. I love negative feedback. And there's a couple people in my life who will give me negative feedback. And they're the ones I go to when it's something new for me or something different. It's, what do you think of this? And if someone is willing, maybe I'm a little scary sometimes, I don't know, but some people aren't willing to give me negative feedback. Those people that do are calling me to that better version of myself. My mentor, Dorothy, my mentor, Mary, another friend of mine who's very, very, very smart. He'll tell me when I'm not selling myself. He'll tell me if, I say something that's not going to land with people. And I want that. And that requires a little bit of, tough exterior. You have to be willing to look at yourself outside of yourself to do better.
Yeah. Gordon says it's the difference between nice and kind. I agree,
Yeah.
Gordon. And look, I think most people love to hear how terrific they are. And I'm certainly no exception. And, fortunately in my role, I get to hear that a lot, but I often say, thank you. I appreciate that. But what I really want to hear is, what could I have done better? How could I have
Mhm.
served you better? Like, often when I'll do a full day seminar or a training program, the organization that brought me in will pass out an evaluation at the end of the day, evaluating me and my performance. And
Mhm.
as they're doing that, I'll always jokingly go, let me just make your life easy. Excellent, 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 excellent. But the truth is that doesn't really serve me.
Right.
When I read their feedback, if there is something that I missed, if there is something that didn't work for them, perhaps
Mhm.
that's where I get the chance to grow. So while
Yeah.
it may not always be fun to hear that you weren't as perfect as you'd like to be,
Mhm.
or that you want to be, that's where the growth comes from. If
Yes.
everybody just tells you you're wonderful all the time, there's no reason to grow. Yes.
Oh, true. I mean, I didn't grow up with a trophy for every kid. Had to achieve. You had to be the winner of whatever sport I was participating in. And when I was in my snowboarding career, I was one of the only girls in the group of people I traveled all over the world with. And I remember holding myself to the standard of the best guy in the group. And there was a group of about 20 of us and traveling all over the world, all different places. And I aspired to be as good as him. Um, and the more I hung out with him and tried to keep up with him and tried to do what he was doing, the better I got. If I had been satisfied with, "Oh, I'm good for a girl," or I'm in the middle of the pack of the 20 people, I had to have that aspiration to move towards the front of the line.
I love that every time I speak to you, I learn something new that I think is super cool. I don't think I ever knew about your snowboarding career,
Oh,
but every there's always something cool. Like,
thank you.
did you tell me that you met Van Halen once? Oh, no, no, no. It was Tony Hawk. Didn't you hang out with Tony
Yes,
Hawk at one point? Yeah,
yes,
pretty damn cool to me.
yes.
Let's move on. Another thing that you do in your coaching practice is you help people build authority online. And I don't think that there's a human being today that would say, no, that's not a good idea. I don't want to have any authority online. I mean, it's a great way to meet more people and expose them to what you do and attract them to you. So what does building authority online mean to you, and how do we actually do that?
Well, I think it's twofold. You have to have the authority, and I'll use one of my clients as an example. She's written 8 books. She has her PhD. She has had 4 different careers in very different niches. She's lived abroad. She's run retreats. I mean, she has all the credentials. But when I went to her website and her social media, I didn't know any of that.
Mm.
I only knew that because I know her. And so this idea of authority online means, uh, and I think it's really topic related. So for you, your topic is sales. So you want to be searchable and findable as a sales expert, a sales leader, a sales trainer. So everything you do in the online space needs to talk about those things. And when I visit your LinkedIn profile, I see sales professional. I see evidence that you do what you say you do. So if you and I met at a networking event, the first thing I do is I go check out your LinkedIn and your website. Do they match? Do they say what you said you are? Does your business card or whatever information we exchanged, does it match? Does it go? And I think so many people miss that opportunity of looking the part. And you have to be the part. This isn't about faking it. Again, it's not imposter syndrome. But if I look you up, and I'll give you another example. I'm in a networking group I joined a couple years ago. I joined it. I looked up every single person in the networking group because once you join, you get access. All right, let me see who I want to meet. Who's going to be a referral partner for me? Who's going to be a client of mine? Who's going to be able to refer clients to me? Who am I going to be able to refer clients to in this group? And as I looked through the 30 members, No one had a matching LinkedIn profile and a website. They didn't have any content for me to read or look at or a podcast, or I had no idea how any of them were currently meeting people, bringing people. Who are they going to have to connect me with besides the people that are in their phone? And that's when I kind of started thinking about this concept of, having a really large network, a more connected inner circle requires you to be able to not only bring people to you, but also when somebody looks me up, they're like, oh, she knows what she's doing. That's it. You want people to trust you more from the visuals that you are showing. That's it.
Yeah, and I know maybe it was a year and a half ago, you made a conscious decision that, you know what,
Mhm.
I'm not going to network with everybody anymore. I'm not interested in every introduction.
Yeah.
You made a conscious choice to invest your time where it's best invested, where you could serve best and where your time would serve you. Yes?
Yes. Yes. And that was through sheer desperation, of thinking I can't fit any more into my calendar, and I have more clients that want to have time with me. And networking, traditional networking, going to virtual networking, that nonsense started during COVID. That was never a thing before.
No.
And going to these hour-long, 90-minute long breakout rooms, I'm running every single breakout room because people don't know how to do that. Every single person I meet is looking to me for introductions, referrals, because I have extra people all the time. And I just thought, okay, I need to move on to a more expensive group or a bigger group or something different. And I kept looking and looking and looking and looking, and it was all the same. Every single time, it was not people coming together to do something for the other 30 people in the room. And that's when I started creating something of my own.
Yeah. And I think that I hear all the time from people who don't have that message properly.
Mhm,
Here's what I do, but when you look them up online, it's something different. Their website, their LinkedIn profile, and
mhm,
what I often hear from people is, well, I don't like to brag.
mm,
I say it's not bragging if it's true. If
correct.
it's BS, that's bragging. But if it's true, I mean, people want to know who you are before they'll do business with you. And if
Yeah,
you're wishy-washy about, I'm an okay coach, and I sometimes have some success, and that's not that's not who I want to work with. I
no,
want to work with the coach who says, I get magnificent results. I help people change their life. If you can't make statements like that, I'm not going to pay you a penny, let alone large amounts of money. So I say it's not bragging if it's true.
yeah,
Um, you also work, like most coaches do, on mindset, and you work with people to develop a growth mindset.
mhm.
Why is a growth mindset useful, and how do we grow our own?
Oh gosh. I think number one, being willing to learn, being willing to admit that things need to change. Number one problem I see with so many entrepreneurs is if something's not working, and I forget what it's called. It's some thought principle that they've dumped $50,000 or $20,000 or $100,000 into doing things this way, and they won't change because it's like going to magically work tomorrow. And I think being willing to cut your losses as soon as possible, like quicker than you've ever cut things before. If something's not working within 6 months, there could be a problem. And whether it's lead gen, whether it's, oh, thank you, Jason, sunk cost fallacy. So that whole idea, and believe me, I've spent $250,000 on coaching programs I did not need. I
Or
did.
never looked at?
No, the ones that were more expensive I looked at, but there was plenty of things I've bought that I actually bought one thing twice. The sales page was so good, and I forgot I had it. Um, but this idea of, oh, I'm just going to keep doing things the same way. And I remember when I realized it for myself, I was trying a new sales funnel, and it was elaborate and it was ridiculous, and it had all this conditional logic. If this and that, if they open this email, they get this email, and it was horrible, horrible. And it didn't work. And that was like the fifth time I had invested $4,000 or $5,000 in building yet another client acquisition system. And my coach said to me, "So, Sue, what has brought you clients for the last 10 years?" And I said, "My mouth and my personality and meeting people and talking to them." And she said, "Why do you keep trying to do something else other than that?" And I said, "Oh, like it seemed kind of ridiculous the way she said it." And it was at that moment I admitted to myself, okay, I have been paying and thinking that I was going to get clients from a button on a website or on social, like people were going to click a button and pay me 5 grand. Telling you that's not how it works. You can meet people online, you can meet people through social media, you can attract people to you, but if your product or service is more than $1,000, you kind of need to talk to people.
Yeah, and I like what Jason called it, sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
Look, you know me in my situation. I've created the same training programs that I do for corporations, full day programs. Went into a professional studio, recorded them exactly as I deliver them in front of live audiences. They're fantastic. If I must so say myself,
they are fantastic,
and I do say so myself.
Fantastic.
And I've now worked in the last year and a half with 3 different agencies to the tune of about $65,000, and have sold exactly none. And each time it's like, all right, well, we're 6 months into it. Maybe it'll hit now. It's hard to cut the cord, and it's like admitting to yourself, okay, this one was a mistake, and it's time to move on. It's hard. It's sometimes challenging to admit this ain't working, and I got to make a change, because we keep hoping, and we all know hope is not a great strategy. Maybe tomorrow it's going to click, and maybe the next one. It's a challenge. All right, I need to move on, because there's the specific reason I invited you today. Other than I love talking to you, is you recently have jumped not just both feet, but head first, the whole body into AI.
Yeah.
Now, I know you, I think, for 2 or 3 years now, maybe it's 4, but it almost seems like overnight you've become an AI expert, and it's incredible to watch. What made you decide to delve into AI so deeply?
Oh, I stumbled across the most incredible mentor. I found ChatGPT on my own when it first came out, November 2 years ago, I believe it was. And I dove in, curiosity, and, being tech savvy, I navigated my way through it, and I thought, I need to learn how to ask really good questions of ChatGPT. And since I'm a coach, I ask pretty good questions. But I stumbled across someone, Jonathan Mast, who has become a friend and a dear mentor to me. And he had this 30,000 person Facebook group that I joined, and he was giving so much knowledge away for free, prompting knowledge, platform knowledge, and I just got inspired by his content and the way he delivered it. So I joined a couple things with him, and I joined this one to learn how to do AI images. And there was 300 and some people in this training of his, and I was the very first one to do it, implement it, and put my images in the group and say, "Hey, what do you think?" And he said, "Did you do those today?" Like day one. So taking action has been key. Um, Learning something, doing it, practicing it, taking action, and putting it out there. I will say that in that space, I have become known for certain tools and certain kind of no nonsense instruction, meaning if I'm going to teach how to use something, it's going to be hands on for entrepreneurs to embrace that tool to make their business better. I'm not going to research and learn a tool that's not making my business better. And so that comes back to that authenticity piece. If I'm using it and it's helping me, damn well I'm teaching it to my people.
So how do you keep up? Because I follow you closely, and
Mhm.
it seems like you've got a new tool every day.
It's not every day, but thank you. I appreciate that. It's actually I learn one new tool a week. I'm on 2 AI newsletters and then of course my mentor, and he'll throw out tools once in a while, and these 2 newsletters I read have 3 or 4 tools a week, new things, new updates, and I only go where it interests me because I'm having fun with it, honestly. And so if it interests me and it sounds like something that would be good for entrepreneurs, coaches, then I dive in and I check it out. And my favorite couple right now, I am using daily, daily. And they are saving me hours of my time and my assistant's time.
We're going to talk about a few of them in a couple of moments, but how does a coach or a salesperson use
Mhm.
AI as a thinking partner that
Mhm.
actually it actually speaks like them? How do they do that?
Well, for me, it was taking all the assessments I ever took on myself and loading the results of those assessments into Chat GPT and saying, "Tell me about me." And that voice that came back, that writing that came back was so helpful in writing for the future, writing my content, writing blog posts, writing, and I'm doing all of my writing with ChatGPT, Perplexity, Storm, and some other tools for research. So I am still writing this article. It's still my information, but I am using these tools not only to do research, to expand my knowledge, and to have somebody to have a conversation with who knows about the topic I've just researched. Storm has become my new favorite research tool. It's a research tool by Stanford University. And basically, you put in a topic, and a couple weeks ago, I put in charismatic CEOs and research behind these leaders or something like that. And what came back to me was research on charisma in the business world is gender biased. It was all done on men, no women leaders. And that was the twist of my article. I did not know that charisma was only researched in male CEOs? Interesting.
Yeah.
And so my article, I love it. And by inserting my own story of, a time when I needed to be charismatic in my own leadership into the story, if you read it, it does not sound like AI helped me write it at all. So I think that's the mistake that most people make diving into AI. They think they're going to go to Chat GPT and say, "Write me a blog post about being a charismatic leader." Well, you can do that. And most likely it's going to be generic. It's not going to sound like you. It's not going to be in your voice. It's not going to be with your information in it. So the key really is layering the tools, knowing how to do research, and then being willing to insert your personal stories into that. And I think it's just made me faster and actually more appealing in my writing.
Yeah, if you're at level 100 for AI, I'm at about level 3. But one of the things I found is that I'll often use it with clients to help them write email cadences.
Yes.
The challenge is that it sounds robotic. When you put in all the prompts, and it's, I want you to spit out eventually, 7 emails that are going to go out over 3 weeks and blah, blah, blah. But every one starts out with, hope you're doing well today. Well, you
Oh,
can't
I have
have
some
7
tips
emails.
on that if you would like.
Sorry?
I have some tips on that if you would like.
Take it away.
So number 1 is use a custom GPT, and you can search the custom GPT store for a custom thread that is just for email writing. And I have my favorite. I will send it to you. And it is trained in persuasive writing from Dan Kennedy and a bunch of other, direct marketing people. It's genius. And then asking for certain types of emails. So, nurture emails or sales emails. I like Seinfeld emails. And ChatGPT knows what a Seinfeld email is. And it is a meaningless story that at the end of the story turns into selling your stuff. And they are funny, and you can use some of your own stories if you want. Write me a Seinfeld email about the time I, whatever.
Do they all start out with, what's up with salt and pepper shakers?
No, they don't. They don't, but it's good and they're funny. And I have a couple of other email styles that I like. So if you have something you like from someone else, whether it's a coach or emails that you receive that you like, you can easily copy those emails, bring them into Chat GPT, combine it with your voice, write in the style of Jeff Goldberg, and he writes like this and blah, 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 blah. And then write me 3 emails that are in that style that I just shared with you. And they won't be copies. You're not copying anybody's work. You're just writing in that style, which is super fun.
And you're way advanced with this stuff. When your AI pops out those emails for you, do you still have to read them over and change things to make it more you, or do they pop out? It's good to go.
It's good to go. It's good to go. Once in a while, there'll be a word that I would never say. And sometimes if I say, tell my story of when I spilt my coffee all over my notes, 3 minutes before a meeting, and it embellished some details that were not true. So yeah, then I have to edit a little bit. But there's been other times where I'll say, tell the story of when I met there's only one billionaire that lives near me. Tell the story of me meeting that billionaire at the dog park. And we both had Great Danes. I met his Great Dane first. I knew exactly who he was. And we just had this incredible conversation about Great Danes. It spit out a story that was so spot on with just those little details. Sounded way more interesting than if I had written it myself. And when people read it, I got comments. Wow, that was really cool how you met that guy at the dog park. I'm like, I know, it was a great story, but AI helped me be a better writer in that situation.
Love that. So I know I asked you if you could do this. I don't know if you're actually prepared to, but I asked if you could maybe share your screen and show us a couple of the tools, which will be great for the people who are watching live. It won't help anybody who's listening on a podcast later on. But one of the tools that you turned me on to recently, which I've only just started playing with and certainly need your help with, but it's called Gamma. I have, all my programs have PowerPoint decks that I've created, and most of them have been updated over the years, to not be the standard PowerPoint that PowerPoint gives you. But Gamma is stunning, and it's truly amazing how quickly it does it. Are you able to show us Gamma and give us an example?
I have it open. Hold on one second. Let me open my correct browser with all my.
Suzanne's doing this. If you're listening weeks from now on a podcast, you're not going to see this stuff. But if you're here with us live, you're going to be impressed.
Thank you so much. And I'll show Storm as well, because Storm is one of my favorites. For that science, a lot of my clients are doctors, are very well educated, and they want research that's backed in science and actual studies. So that's super important for them. So present, share my screen. And let's see, I'm going to allow, and then I want to share Gamma. Here we go. Can you see that?
I think I can see it, but I think there we go. We'll add it to stage. There you go.
Okay.
Yep. I think
Awesome.
everybody can see it now.
All right. So when I'm logged in here, but if we go back, I'll just show you what Gamma looks like. It's GAMMA. And I'm going to just sign out so you can see it. So this is it, GAMMA. And when I log in, you'll see my home screen. You'll see I have a ton of presentations here. And so basically, I use it for things like client proposals. I do have a client proposal that doesn't have any names on it, so I could show you that and how I use it. But let's look at my Gamma training that's on a Gamma, which is kind of fun.
And so by the way, you're not selling this. This is not yours. You just love this tool, right?
I love this. I'm not even an affiliate for this tool. So basically, I was doing a training for my AI mastermind on Gamma and why you should be using it. And basically took an outline of my training, dropped it in, and I'll show you how it works in a second. But I wanted you to see the output. So this was just a simple hour-long mastermind group that I was having, and this is the presentation. And as we walk through it, you can see it's an awesome presentation. These photos are all AI generated from my notes. These diagrams, again, all done with AI from written notes for this presentation. We did a Q&A time, your key takeaways, and again, a really powerful presentation, cute, did it in 5 minutes. And the beautiful part, when you do a presentation, you can also, this is a PDF I created for a workshop. So it's not a presentation. It's a downloadable PDF, fill in spots for my attendees. So you can use it for more than one thing, which is incredible. You can now create templates and themes. You can also create LinkedIn carousels that are beautiful and to me just look amazing. But let me show you how easy it is. We're going to create a new one. And so here are my choices. Paste in text, have AI generate one from a one-line prompt, or import, and this is what I told you could do with your huge slide presentation. Yep. You can import that old-fashioned or outdated slides and bring them into Gamma and modernize the whole look and feel of it.
And that's exactly what it did. And like you said, 5 minutes, and I think I had like 190 slides or something like that. And the whole thing was transformed. Now, I still had to go in and change font size, and some things didn't come in. Gamma changed some of the stuff so that it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. It was saying different things because AI is not me, but the visuals, stunning, eye-catching. Yes. You know, when you're using PowerPoint or a deck, you know, you want the visual to be there. I'm not interested in having 8 million words on a slide because nobody's going to read those. There should be maybe a couple of main bullet points, but the visuals were so much better than anything I had ever thought of, and certainly than any of the standard backgrounds that PowerPoint gives you. It was amazing.
Well,
Please continue.
there's another tool called napkin.ai that I use to take text and turn it into a visual framework. So I'll show you one of those. I actually bring them into my gammas for those more detailed, workflows or frameworks or thinking patterns. You might have something a little more complicated than Gamma can do. So if you do, you can make that in Napkin and bring it in. And I'm happy to show you that as well. But what's possible with generating something from one line? I love this one, collaborating with other creators on a joint project. But let's just say we want to make a sales presentation, sales for coaches, and we're going to generate an outline. Most coaches I know struggle with sales, or they say they struggle with sales, but they're really not doing any sales. They're doing marketing. They're never really getting to the conversation piece. So let's see if it follows sales strategies, coaching industry, building trust and credibility, effective marketing channels. Okay, I like this. And we're just, we're not going to edit anything. I'm going to pick my theme. I like the black. And then amount of text per card, we're going to go brief. We're going to use AI images and style of images. I'm going to say Pixar style images with a woman with short blonde hair. And then we're going to say generate.
You've been using those Pixar style images a lot lately.
I know.
They're fantastic.
I love them. Actually, there's like 40 of them sitting here on my desktop. I had so much fun creating them. Okay, so it's generating the images now, striking black and the pink is okay. Oh, look, it's a little Pixar image, short blonde hair, very cute. Sales strategies for coaches, unlocking your business potential. I would probably add to this slide. I would add a little bit to this slide, but this is spot on. Ideal client, value proposition, targeting. I would change that to point of view. You have a unique point of view about your coaching. And what I like is it's keeping the woman pretty consistent through the images. I might change a couple of them. Really cute. I think it's cheeky. And then I would add a last slide by adding a blank one, and I would have all my contact information on that last slide. I can go right up here. I can download it, collaborate with someone else. I can share it. I can export it as a PDF and give it away to my attendees, or I can actually publish to a site and turn it into a custom URL for people to look at.
Amazing. Just amazing. And I think it's like $20 a month or something like that on a monthly plan. You can cancel at any time. I think you save a couple of bucks if you buy it for the year, but it's just astounding.
And you can see how often I'm using it. I'm using it. Here's my charisma code talk. Here's my welcome to my community presentation. And I've used this multiple times. Here's another talk I gave. So I've created things for clients. This one's for a client of mine. And I sent it off to him. And he was like, where'd you get those pictures of me? I said, I made them. Do you like them? And he was like, oh my God, yes, I do. So really, I'm having a great time doing stuff like this for my clients. And the idea of pulling in more complex images. This image right here, I created that with the napkin.ai from just text. And there's lots of different images you can choose from, and brought that into my presentation. So that adds another layer of customization to Gamma.
Amazing. And you mentioned something else to me, that you're using something called Perplexity for search. Now, I use Google for search. What is Perplexity, and why would you use that instead of Google?
Well, Perplexity, which is very, very, I have the paid version. You don't need the paid version. But the paid version will give you a little bit deeper information, deeper research. So we can research anything we would like, and we'll keep it on the sales topic. Who is the top sales trainer for coaches? So if I was doing research about who I wanted to hire or connect with, or who should I be networking with, I can actually use Perplexity to come up with a list of coaches or a list of sales trainers, or get this, a list of companies. So Jeff, if there's companies out there struggling with their sales, maybe we could research them and you would have a list of prospects to reach out to. So it's an opportunity to use Perplexity for that initial research of your sales. So here's some top sales people, and I'm going to ask a follow-up. What companies are currently struggling to make sales? Now, if you are any type of sales person, connecting with people in a unique way, my mentor, Mary, said to me one time, just pull up the Fortune 500 list and compare it to last year. What companies have fallen in their ranking? They need to hire you. And I was like, well, how genius is that? And now with Perplexity, you can do searches like that and empower your sales at a whole different level, I think.
Incredible. And I think the one that everybody knows best is ChatGPT, even though there's a million different AIs right now. And you mentioned that you are using GPT for meeting notes.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about that, because there's a lot of products out there that are for meeting notes, including Zoom. Zoom itself has all that stuff, and what's the other one? There's a bunch of them.
I think the magic of doing really good email follow-up and really good meeting notes is taking whatever tool you use to gather the notes. I use Fathom Note Taker. There's numerous different ones, and now Zoom has their own AI note taker. Taking the transcript, taking the chat, and taking the notes from the note taker, putting that all into ChatGPT, and then saying, write me an email to Jeff following up on our meeting. Make it motivational and encouraging, or whatever style I want it in. And then I say, please focus on Jeff's action steps before we meet again. And at the bottom of the email, write the things that I said I would do for Jeff.
I don't know if you can see, but I'm furiously taking notes here, because every sales team that I'm working with is going to hear about this one. See, I thought you meant you were using that as your note taker, like Fathom, but you're actually taking Fathom the notes and putting it. Oh, that's brilliant.
Yes.
And
one more for a sales team. If you are following up with a prospect and you have built rapport properly, you might forget the rapport that you've built. The note taker will not. And you can include that rapport building, take it to the next level in the email by asking for that. And after you draft the email follow-up, you can summarize the meeting with notes, bullet points, and put it in your CRM under that person's name. So every time I talk to Jeff, I have a record of, on 214, we talked about this. On 215, we talked about this. On 218, I solved this problem for Jeff and he loved it. So I have all of those notes. Now, of course, I remember you, but there's some people I talk to that a year from now, who was that person? Oh, yeah. And there's all of my notes about our meeting and about what we got to and where we left off. And I can pick up right where we left off for our next meeting, even if it is 6 months later.
Yeah. And you're talking about ChatGPT remembering all this stuff about you. Am I correct that in order for it to do that, you have to have a paid version, right? The free
Yeah.
version is not going to remember you.
Yes, you do need a paid version. And, when it comes to using it for networking or connecting purposes, I always make sure that whatever I get from a meeting, I'm storing the summarized version of that in my CRM under that person's name. So I do have a backup. I'm not just depending. But the really cool part is I have one thread that's pretty much everyone that I've met in the last like 3 months. I start a new thread every 3 months. But the cool part is at the end of 3 months, I can say, what new people did I meet in the last 3 months? And it'll give me a list of those people and all of their contact information. So I can make sure they're all in my CRM. I'm connected to them on LinkedIn, little personal touches, to the people that I meet. And I've even gone so far sometimes as to saying, I just add Sally, Sally's notes into a thread. And after I get her notes, I'll say, who in this thread would be a good person to introduce Sally to?
Mm.
And it'll say, Jeff and Bob would be great referral partners for Sally. Please write an email introducing them. Done.
And you're great at doing that.
It's like the assistant I never knew I needed.
Absolutely astounding. Well, listening to you, I'm like, okay, I really got to dig in now because this stuff is too useful. I keep glancing at the clock because I can't believe we're out of time. I do want to ask one other quick question.
Yeah, sure.
I'd love to spend an hour on, but one of the many things I find so impressive about you, and there are many, is your ability to attract great people and to build community. Why is building community so important today?
Well, I think we're all a little bit disconnected and lonely in the digital space. Think about how you and I grew up, playing in a neighborhood and knowing other families and other kids and being at other people's houses. And I don't know, I feel like community, being with other people who are doing what you want to do. My coach event on Wednesday, I 50 some coaches in the room. I'm still getting messages about the conversation. It was incredible to bring people together without the intention of selling them something. And I will say, it sold a lot of something, bringing a room full of coaches together once a month for 3 years. I've had a ton of coaches that are clients, but I've never sold to them in that room. It's a room to have conversations and to meet other people. And I never fully realized that doing something for myself like that, because it was totally selfish. I wanted to have those conversations and I wanted to bring people together because I was lonely and I was not having those conversations in the workspace. It brought me clients without even trying, without even a sales pitch. And that's, I think, the magical piece of community. It will bring you more business. It will bring you clients, and you don't have to be the leader of the community like me if you're not comfortable doing that. You could just be a member of an awesome community and benefit from other people encouraging you and doing the same work as you.
Yeah. And I can't resist commenting on this because you mentioned it a second ago. So many times, look, everybody wants to sell everybody. We all need to bring in business and we need to make money. But so many times people use come to this and, there's not going to be a sales pitch. And then, 30 seconds in, it's just all sales pitch. And you want to shoot yourself for having been stupid enough to get sucked in once again. And I don't want to embarrass you, but when we first met, you reached out to me privately and said, hey, I'd love to chat with you about this and see if I can help you. And my response was, I'm not interested in a sales pitch. Thank you very much anyways. And you wrote back and said, no, there won't be a sales pitch. And in my mind, all I said was, yeah, sure. I would bet my middle child that if I get on a call with this woman who I barely know at this point, there will absolutely be a sales pitch at the end. And you assured me that there wouldn't. And I took a chance, even though my mind was saying, don't do this. You're going to get sucked in one more time, and your not just your authenticity, but your integrity is 100%. You gave me incredibly valuable, useful advice, immediately actionable, and there was not even a hint of a sales pitch. So,
well, I don't even do what I gave you. I don't even do for a living. So, what is there to sell you except, oh, hey, I think you're pretty great. I love your content, and I could help you get it seen by more people because I've learned this information, over the last 15 years. Do you want me to share it with you? I don't even sell that. Like, so it would have been impossible for me to give you a sales pitch.
Yeah, right. Except we all get those all day long via LinkedIn DMs and stuff like that. I want to help you, and it turns out I don't want to help you. I want to help you, but I want you to pay me a bunch of money for it. Your integrity stands out, and I think that's part of what helps you grow your communities. And we are out of time, so before we go, I want to share my screen. Can you share with people how can they find you if they want to talk about any of the services you offer? And if you would, please mention your school community.
Yes, SuzanneTaylor-King.com. There's a big black button right up on top that says join the Idea Lab. You can read about the community, and there's 3 different tracks of membership. And my coaching practice one-on-one looks like reinvention, influence, and authority, and meeting people how I meet people. I mentor people along the way in that journey. And the community has just been my passion, bringing great people together in the Idea Lab on the school platform is the platform I chose. And there's 3 tracks of membership. One is for referrals. One is for business growth, getting for those people who aren't yet making $250,000 a year. There's a coaching program within my community. You have to message me to be included in that hidden space in the community. And we meet every Tuesday, and people get my coaching program that actually used to be $1,500 a month, and all for $97. And it's a passion project. I don't coach around those things any longer, but helping people get to $250,000 a year is so fun. And I could do it without prep, without, a PowerPoint, without a Gamma presentation. And I feel like I finally have that space that's for my referral community, which Jeff, you're a part of. And I'm so happy that you're there and meeting those people, the growth part of the community, and then my AI mastermind. So bringing all 3 of those together. Some people only join for one of those things, and some people join for all 3. And I feel abundant and rich and fun. And, then my one-on-one clients, they're totally separate from that, though some of them do belong to the community. They get more attention from me because I'm, focused on the community and them.
Yep. And for those who aren't familiar, school is SKOOL.com. And then you would go in and you'd search for Suzanne's various communities. Suzanne, I could talk to you literally all day, every day, but we are out of time. In fact, we're 3 minutes over. So I will thank you so much, as always, for sharing your brilliance so generously, as you always do. You make a difference in my life, and I'm honored to be a friend, not just an associate.
Oh, thank you.
And gang, I'll end as I always do. Please remember that sales is a game of making things happen. So get out there and make sales happen. Have a great day, everybody, and a great weekend. Thank you again, Suzanne.
You're welcome.